Welcome to Transcending the Rabbit Hole. I'm Brandy Anderson. I'm a spiritual director and Jungian coach on an ever-winding contemplative path of becoming. I'm the author of Through the Veil, A Glimpse into the Afterlife, and co-host of Spectral Symposium podcast. I'm joined today by my very good friends and co-hosts, Annelise and Parker Bess. Annelise is a singer, songwriter, sound healer, and spiritual influencer dedicated to raising human consciousness as she shares her awakening journey on TikTok. Parker is a true knowledge seeker and truth bringer in the realm of esoteric wisdom. Parker has a solid understanding of metaphysical concepts with expertise in the shadowy corridors of secret societies, occult knowledge, and ancient aliens and ufology. We invite you to pry open your third eye and journey with us through the cosmic rabbit hole as we alchemize esoteric insights in a quest for ultimate truth.
Falling down the rabbit hole again.
Welcome to another episode of Transcending the Rabbit Hole. Today we welcome a very special guest to the show, Johnny Barnett. He's an astrologer, author, and intuitive who has been practicing astrology for over 30 years. He is also the founder of Chakrology and is here today to talk to us about chakras and astrology. Annelise and I both have had the pleasure of attending his workshops and hearing him speak. All three of us have had super insightful natal chart readings from Johnny. We're excited to have him with us today. Johnny, it's a privilege to transcend this rabbit hole with you. Welcome, and thank you for being with us today.
All right. Thank you, Brandy. It's a real pleasure and an honor for me to be here.
Yeah, we're really excited for this conversation. I guess to begin with, I'll invite you to share just a little bit about yourself to give our listeners an idea of who you are and where you're coming from.
Sure. Well, I'm from Texas. I grew up pretty normal, going to school, going to church, crossing all my T's and dotting all my I's. But when I got older and I got out of college, I started sort of seeing life on my own terms and discovered that there were a lot of unanswered questions. And when I was facing a crisis, personal crisis around the age of 28, a friend of mine offered to read my astrological chart for me to give me some guidance and insight. I was like, man, I'll take all the help I can get. Well, I was completely mesmerized and blown away and enthralled by what this guy knew about me without really knowing me. Stuff about my mom, stuff about my personal dreams and ambitions, incredible detail. So I was just captivated and started studying astrology at that point and have been doing it on the side for many years until I decided to go full time about 14 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Thank
That's really
goodness
cool.
you did, Johnny, because you have a true gift. Like Brandy said, Parker and I both got our natal chart readings this week and just
It was amazing.
blew us away. Like you said, the things that the sky can show that are a part of our inner world that you wouldn't have known about, that you're able to
Yeah.
see and understand and translate that. It's amazing.
It
Yeah.
really is. It's like pinpoint accuracy with that almost.
Yeah, thank you. And yes, that's why I do what I do, because like you, I was so amazed by the experience I had. I actually kept after the reading I had 33 years ago. I would run into the astrologer at the gym. I'd say, "Hey, astrologer, what about this thing in my chart?" And, "Hey, astrologer, what about this thing in the planets?" And, "Hey, astrologer, I got a question." And after a couple months, he's like, "Look, if you want to learn astrology, just start doing people's charts." It's like, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, that's the only way you learn." So that's how I got into it. Yeah, just start. And
Yeah.
I
That's
couldn't
awesome.
let it go. Yeah.
It's amazed me how many celebrities and like famous people's charts that you know about and how those can correlate to personality types and help us understand. Like when you're teaching, you've studied a lot of people's charts.
Absolutely. I mean, the famous people and the historical people
Yes.
are just the best examples because we know the details of their lives. We know the timing of when they went through this event or this crisis or this achievement, this accomplishment. So yeah, it's famous people and plus we can all see them, they've been part of our world. Just like the characters in Harry Potter, I also use because everyone knows those characters and each one of them is an astrological sign as well. So it's, you draw from all these examples around you to help paint the picture, and that helps you understand it on a deeper level. Yeah. It's not just
Yeah.
abstract at that point. It's like, oh yeah, right. Harry Potter went through that. I'm feeling that too. Or Hermione, or James Bond, or John Lennon.
Yeah.
All these characters, Luke Skywalker,
Yeah.
all these characters from fact and fiction help us identify what's going on inside of us. And it's really what these are, Harry Potter, especially Star Wars to some degree, the story of the Beatles and these are all like modern myths, like Greek mythology was how you learned
Yep.
about
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
And so I can talk about Zeus and Apollo and Aphrodite, but I can also talk about Elizabeth Taylor and James Bond,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
it's the same characters. We all go through many of the same experiences.
Yeah.
That's
I
right.
love that because
Yeah.
it's very archetypal. That's what I hear you saying. And the whole,
Exactly.
it's all of those archetypes are written into all of our charts. And what was so validating for me is to understand maybe the why of why I feel a certain way, or I'm struggling in a certain way, or feel blocked in a certain way. And once you have that validation that, hey, it's in your chart and this is what you're dealing with and this is how you're going to kind of move forward, you can get out of your head a little bit about, am I making some sort of wrong decision? Is that why I feel, and it's like, no, you're not actually making a wrong decision. It's just in your chart that you're going to struggle here and you're going to have this resistance there. And so for
Yeah.
me, it was just really validating and allowed me to kind of rest into that struggle, which that is
Yeah.
in the struggle that we become, right?
Right. Well, and I love also it gives you a why you're going through what you're going through. It gives you
Yeah.
context for the experience that you're having. It's very often a growth experience, and you know how much we hate those, right? It's like, but we all
Right.
have them. We all go through them, and so it answers the question, why is this happening? And you ultimately get to the point, if you study and embrace it long enough, you realize that things are not happening to you. Things are simply happening because things happen, and you're in the play, and your character gets to choose to go this way or that way.
Oh,
And
yeah.
That's
you
right.
can
Yeah.
embrace the change for what it is. You can embrace the challenge for what it is, or you can just whine and start drinking. A lot
Sometimes
of
you can
people
just
do.
do
Yeah.
all of it.
Do it
Some
all.
people do all of it. Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
Hey,
yeah.
Johnny, could you, for people listening who are like me or like I was before I spoke with you, could you explain like how where the planets are and the motions of what's going on in the sky affects how we are when we're born, like why that's even a thing, what
Yes.
you mean when you say they do things to us, because I think there's a lot of like mystery around it for people, and they need to understand this isn't magic, this is just reality.
Yeah, and that may be one of the great mysteries and one of the great debates in astrology, whether it's cause and effect or whether it's like this is just the way it is. So I'll give you a couple answers to that question. There may be a cause and effect, but science has not identified that yet. So it can't be true until science has figured it out, right? I have my own thoughts about that, but more important than cause and effect, I think, is this, and this is in the Bible, which also, in fact, gets it from the Hermetic wisdom. And Hermes, of course, was the god of mind in Greek mythology, the god of teaching and learning and knowledge. As above, so below, or as without, so within. And so the planets are outside of us, and they're in the moment you are born, they're in a very specific location in your sky, because where you're placed on the earth when you were born is unique to you. The sky looks different if you're born in America than it does if you're born in China, for example.
Yes.
You have a completely different chart because you'd be a completely different person.
Yeah.
But the as without, this is like a blueprint of what's going on inside of you. And of course, that leads us to chakras, because the 7 visible planets correspond. The 7 planets outside of you show you, they're a map to what's going on inside of you. And those 7 points inside of you, we call chakra.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
is, and
Go
yeah,
ahead,
you
Brandy.
and you mentioned chakras, and there's so much that we could talk about. And I know the astrology side of things that's super fascinating. And Annelise and I both have been really on an astrology kick lately, talking about it. And so I definitely want to get more into the astrology side of things. But before we do, maybe we could focus a little bit on chakras, because I know that's something that you teach about in a unique and very helpful way. And so I thought maybe maybe you could define for our listeners what is a chakra, for maybe people who aren't familiar, and kind of explain what you mean by chakraology, which,
Sure.
that's your website, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, first off, it's important to understand that the word chakra is from Sanskrit, but that doesn't mean only Indian people have them, right? We all have them. It's a word that describes basically energy center is the best translation. So we all have 7 main energy centers, if you prefer. And when I say energy center, you can use the word spirit instead of the word energy. The idea is that spirit shows up in 7 very specific ways, and more, but 7 main ways. And we each have those 7 main features of the spiritual experience in a physical body. And so that's what I would call them. They're places where spirit, I mean, you overall are a spirit inside of a physical body. And so when you sort of shoot light through a prism, you get 7 different colors, the 7 colors of the rainbow. When you shoot a soul through the prism of your body, you get 7 main ways in which that spiritual energy expresses itself.
Oh, wow.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes
Yeah.
sense. That makes so
Yeah.
much more sense than the way than the way it's like given to you in the woo, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't do woo.
Johnny's an earth sign. He doesn't do the woo.
You're too wise for the woo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and go ahead, Randy. I'm sorry.
No, please.
I was just going to add in there, for anyone who's really into math, you will note that 7 is the only number that you cannot divide into 360 and get a resolution. That's what makes 7 a magical number. Like 2 into 360 is 180, 4 is 90, 6 is 60, even 8 is I'm falling on my face now. 40, 9 is 40 anyway. But 7 divided into 360 is 51.42857142857, on and on and on for infinity. When you hear the word infinity, that's spirit, right? So that's why 7 is a special number. That's why we have 7 days of the week. That's why we have 7 colors of the rainbow. Why we have 7 chakras in our body that correspond with the 7 visible planets in the sky. This is the world we live in. I'm not making this stuff up. It's just the Greeks didn't make it up either. They just observed what was going on around them and recorded it for us to learn by.
Wow.
So
That's
cool.
fascinating.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you have a 2-hour teaching on chakras, but is there any way you could maybe briefly summarize, just to give people an idea of what each of those energy centers kind of represents within us?
Well, sure. If you want to start at the bottom, and you can't see because the camera doesn't go down low enough, but you actually have 7 hand widths from the base of your spine all the way up to the crown of your head. How about that? Is that a
Wow.
coincidence?
Now I'm gonna have to test that, Johnny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, the bottom of your spine is called the root chakra. And of course, the root is the beginning. It symbolizes your connection to the earth. So this is your physicality, your physical life. And then the sacral chakra, which is creativity, because women have a womb located at the area of the sacral chakras. So this is a metaphor for creativity of all kinds. So whether you're a man or a woman, whether you're an artist or not, you are still a creative person. And so that's the second one. The third one is the solar plexus, and this is your center of gravity, your physical center of gravity, right? This is where if you're stable in your core, in your center, then you're hard to push around, whether that's physical or energetic, right? You have a strong sense of who you are. That's third chakra, right? Fourth chakra is, of course, the heart, and this is your energetic center, right? You have a physical center, but your energetic center is your heart because you have 3 chakras below and 3 above. So if you want to do the hands with me, you've got your fourth chakra there. Your
Yeah.
fifth hand is your throat
Yeah.
chakra, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so it's interesting because, of course, Mercury is going to correspond to the throat chakra because, first off, Mercury is the messenger of the gods, right? And there, of course, is your voice box. But also, this is your connection between your heart and your head. And Mercury is the go-between god, right? He takes messages from top of Mount Olympus down to earth. He ferries dead souls across the river from the land of the living to the land of the underworld. Just as your throat is your neck is the meeting place between your chest and your head. It all makes sense. It's self-evident. It's not like you have to stretch your imagination to understand these things. You just have to pay attention. So your throat chakra, do your hands, right? Heart, throat.
Yeah.
There's our third eye, which is technically called the brow chakra. But your third eye, you only have one third eye. You have 2 eyes to look and perceive physical reality. You have 1 eye to perceive spiritual reality. So the 1 eye, you don't need 2 eyes because spirit is the realm of unity. So you only need 1 eye. Physical matter is in the realm of duality. So you have 2 eyes. Or your third eye is for you reading the room, reading people's energy, feeling and receiving the vibrations coming off other people. You can tell when someone's lying to you. You can tell when someone is really, really mad, although they're trying to hide it, So that's your ability to perceive things that are not being seen, heard, felt, tasted, or smelled, right? Your non-physical receptor. And then the crown chakra is your connection to heaven or spirit or God, whatever words you prefer. Just as your root chakra connects you to the earth and your physical life, this connects you to your spiritual awareness, your spiritual life.
And Brandy, what was that verse about the eye? Jesus said, if your eye is single,
Right. Yeah.
finish
That's
it for me
exactly
because
what
I'm
he was
late.
talking about.
Yeah. He was saying something if your eye is single. I can't remember it, but if you see with an evil eye.
But that's what he was talking about, is that's the single eye, is that chakra, the crown. I'm sorry, the third eye.
The third eye, brow, yeah. So everyone watching this podcast now has homework to do. You go look up that Bible verse to see what they're talking about.
That's
And
right.
I'm going to do it too. So I should know.
Yeah. I just quoted it in a Substack, so it's really sad that I couldn't bring it to my memory. It's because you put me on the spot, Annelise. My goodness.
I'm sorry. You know what? And I went to Kiwanis as a little girl. I should know it. I went to the Bible drill, Kiwanis, and everything. But
Yeah. So, the way I understand kind of like with the chakras, it's like the first 3 are about like that outward engagement with the world. Like they deal with survival, sex, power, achievement, and even like maintaining society, organizing life, that kind of thing. And they're important, but still shared like with that animal realm, like that nest building, securing food, mating, that, that type of thing. And I'm reminded of how Joseph Campbell filtered religion through that lens. Like when it operates at those lower levels, it becomes largely about law, morality, social duty, promises of reward and punishment, like the heaven and hell, juxtaposition within mainstream religion, which is that's where much of mainstream Christianity sits. It's all about sin management, identity, outward behavior. In other words, it's very egoic. And those higher chakras mark kind of a shift. And that heart chakra being the center, it begins like that new stage of a religious life. So here, spirituality sort of turns inward and becomes transformative. So it's not regulatory and performative anymore. I guess I would say it's not about keeping people in line, but about awakening the inner dimension as that energy rises further through the throat and the third eye, the brow, and then the crown. So, like that's a a path, I guess I'm saying, into the transcending the ego, piercing the illusion, moving toward that union with God. But one thing I just wanted to say, I think it's important to emphasize that those lower chakras are not excluded from the awakening. They're just integrated into it, kind of like they're transmuted as we shift into that heart space. And something else that Campbell said that really struck me, I was reading his book, Reflections on the Art of Living, recently, and that word for heart chakra is anahata. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Anahata.
Yeah, and it means not hit. So it's a reference to the sound that is not made by two things striking together, which I thought was just really powerful, because all of the sounds that we hear are made of two things striking together. But that is the sound of the heart chakra, is the sound of ultimate reality, of oneness. So it transcends the duality of all other sounds. Anyway, I thought that was super fascinating. And yeah, that's just kind of how I have processed the chakras. Does that resonate with you, Johnny, or am I completely wrong, off
No,
base?
I like that. There are several models, if you will, of a progression higher up and up and up. The thing that I would add to that is that, and you mentioned this too, where you don't just go up here and exclude those down there. But what happens is that the lower are connected to the upper, but just as important is that the upper are connected to the lower. This is your humanity. And if you're just all up in your head, literally up in your head, you don't have real world experience or relatability. You can't just be spiritual, pretend you're spiritual, but not have interaction with people. You've got to mix it up on the physical level, because that's where the rubber meets the road. And so it's in my classes, I'm marrying the upper with the lower. And of course, the way to marry the upper with the lower is through the heart. So we tend to think straight line and higher is better, but in reality, center is where you want to come from. And if you're a Christian, or if you follow the work and words of Jesus, you know that he was all about the heart and coming from the heart and talking about the heart. He wasn't flying up there in the clouds. He was down here, but he was supported by both his spiritual connection and and being in a body at the same time.
Yeah.
Johnny, something you said in your chakrology class that I'm thinking of as you were talking about, moving upwards with the chakras. You said, like, as children age, or as we as people age, you kind of move up in the chakras to a degree, right? Like we talked about someone about my son's age would be down there in that root chakra right now, where it's just like,
well, it's
just
more like when you're born, you don't have any other concerns outside of survival.
yeah.
And this can happen to anyone, though, at any age. If you're in the middle of a war, all you care about is survival. You could be an adult or a child, right? If you're starving to death, you're going to be focused on root chakra no matter what. That's going to dominate your experience. Yeah, but yeah, the metaphor was from my class is once you've got your survival taken care of, and hopefully it's taken care of by your parents, right? And you have all your needs met, and your body gets strong enough, you can start moving yourself around. Then you start playing, and that's when we get up to that second chakra, right? And so, and then we get once we play for a while, we decide that we want to become something when we grow up, and we put more focus and energy on one thing. That's third chakra. So yeah, there is a graduation as you age as well.
Yeah, what I
That's
hear you saying
fascinating.
is it's not linear, though, that we're kind of moving along, kind of like spiral dynamics, where you keep circling back and you can kind of be touching on several chakras at once, even kind of, and it's an integration of all of them together so that we become, well, like Jesus said, that metanoia, to transcend the binary mind, which it's translated as repentance in our English Bibles, but it's really about seeing non-dually. And so when we come through that heart chakra, we're able to be creative we're able to have our needs met and live in a way that with equanimity and balance, I guess is what I'm trying to say, instead of in those lower, I think it's spiral dynamic starts out in those lower like tribal thinking or whatever. And then we move along up into, and then you evolve as you grow. That's true. But you can also kind of circle back and revert. And so it's kind of like it's a dance, right? All of life is a dance.
Well, I can see at least two different spirals just in my head. And I'm not sure which one you're referring to, but on the cover of my book, which is a painting from 400 years ago, showing a guy with the planet symbols inside of his chakras. There's also a spiral on that book going like that, from the fifth down to the third, up to the sixth, down to the second, up to the seventh, down to the first. So there's all sorts of fluidity and movement. So yeah, we're never just one thing unless we're really in trouble. But we're all seven at all times, right?
Johnny, let me ask you a question about, if everybody's like 80 or 90% water, right? What does that play a big part in with the planets and the astrology? Does that pull on people's moods or people's, just does that affect anything with the planets?
Well, we know that the moon affects the tides. In fact, it's the sun and the moon that create the tides. And so, yeah, there's got to be an influence. It has not been embraced or studied by science to the satisfaction of your question astrologically, but almost any astrologer will tell you, yes, of course. I personally track the moon as it moves through the signs, and I track the sun as it moves through the signs. And I can tell you, in my own experience and the experience of my friends, the people I'm close to that I talk with stuff, and even some random people, I can tell you why you're having a bad day just knowing what sign the moon is in.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is.
I can also tell you why you're having a great day, knowing it's like this one woman I know from back home, and she's like, man, I'm just having a great day. I just feel like I'm on top of the world. And I wasn't going to say, well, it's because the moon's in Capricorn. I wasn't going to pop her bubble and tell her that, but I know that she's a Capricorn. So it's like, yeah, I see it everywhere I look.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I was saying in another episode recently where I think we were talking about something about the sky, how the sky or the astrology is affecting everything. Wasn't it? Were we having that conversation on this podcast?
Yeah.
And my grandmother, who has already crossed, who I have communication with through the veil, there are times when I ask her certain things and she'll just say the sky. That's her answer, is because of the sky. It's interesting how sometimes when they don't have energy, or she'll say it's chaos, be careful, be mindful of your surroundings, the world is in chaos. And when I'll say, well, what's really going on? She'll say the sky. Just leave it at that. Yeah. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, just like a real world, I feel like example for people listening who are like, what does this mean? Johnny was telling me during my reading how the planets were aligned for my particular birth chart. The planets were aligned in a way that I was going to go through some like trials and some testings and some, just difficult times, but like a rebirth and death kind of awakening thing. And I started last year this TikTok called Annelise Awakening about my spiritual awakening. And then simultaneously, I've been having vocal issues. And I was told by somebody, it's probably your throat chakra is blocked. Your throat, because you're supposed to be this messenger, but you can't sing, you can't speak like you usually could. And it's improved some, but I say that to say the planets and the chakras and the life path, like it really is all tied together, but it's not a magical voodoo kind of thing. It's just we're made of mostly water, and these planets and the sun and the moon do a lot to water and transform us and refine us. And I think that would help people who just don't have a solid understanding that astrology is not woo woo. It's very much a science, and it's very
real.
very real. And
well, and also we don't know if the planets are doing it to us or if they're simply reflecting our reality to us so we can study it. So I'm real careful with the language I use because I don't like to think of things doing things to me. Rather, I am a part of the whole, and this is the part I'm here to play. And it's shown to me by my astrological chart and the movement of the planets. But it's not like there's something, and I could be mistaken, but I like to think there's not something outside of me forcing me to be this way, making this happen. But it does look that way, and it does feel
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah.
But it's just good to keep in your head that you are a part of all of it, and this may be your time to go through
Yeah.
this. And again, the reading gives you context. I'm surprised, Annelise, that when we did your reading, we didn't look at your Mercury, or maybe we did, I don't remember. But if someone's having a throat issue, and maybe it was just a couple months ago and it's not happening now, but if it was going on and you asked me in the reading what something's wrong with my throat, I would look
Mhm.
at your Mercury in your
Wow.
birth chart. That's how you tie the chakras with the planets. The actual planets in your chart are representing the chakras in your body. So I can
Okay.
see challenges to your Mercury, which are going to manifest as challenges in
Wow.
your throat.
That is just wild.
That
And
is.
it
It's
thankfully
fascinating.
it's resolved some. I've gotten a good chunk of my range back, but for 9 months it was just gone. And I had gone to a crystal shop. My son wanted some pretty crystals for his room. He was getting into learning about that, and they had a thing that it said it could read your chakras with your your fingerprint. And Parker, he's like, that's doesn't, it's not. And I was like, whatever. I just want to do it for fun. And it said, hey, your throat chakra's blocked. And I thought, well, that's weird because I'm sharing my truth, so to speak. I'm doing the things. But right after that, my voice was just stripped down. And so I would love to have known this back then, how like the stars are a map for our path and our challenges, and it would have helped me make a lot more sense of it when I was walking through the thick of it.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to take a look after this call, at least, because now my curiosity is raised. But what I imagine I would see is that a planet of transformation, and or we'll call it transformation, a planet of transformation, which could be Uranus, Neptune, or Pluto, was making an aspect of challenge to
Mhm.
Mercury. See, when I say Mercury, I point to my throat. They're the same
Yeah,
thing in my way of thinking.
yeah,
Mercury in your chart was getting challenged by one of these transformed planets. And so that helps you understand why you're going through what you're going through and
mhm,
how you can address it, how you can
yeah,
work with it, how you can become empowered to handle it instead of resisting it and fighting it and just, I wish
mhm.
this wasn't happening. That doesn't do
That's
you any
right.
good. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because you told me, I said, like, "Is there any way to avoid it?" And you said pretty much, "No," like, the planets are gonna do what they're gonna do, and you're gonna feel it. So you said something along the lines of, you might as well, I guess, take joy almost, enjoy this transformative time instead of just wishing it away because it's gonna happen no matter what. But it's temporary, these things are temporary because the planets keep moving, and that's very encouraging too.
Yes, that was one of my great, like, one of the things that astrology helped me feel better about what I was going through is like, it will not be this way forever. In fact, it's
Mhm.
only going to be this way for a little bit of time. You're right in the middle of it now. And so you
Yeah.
are feeling it strongly now. It will not last forever. I was like, thank God, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then but then I came around to the other side of that realization because I had a lot of that was when I didn't know anything about astrology, right? Those are the first reading I had for myself. But as I studied more and became an astrologer and began to counsel people who were in that same situation, and they would ask me, especially baby boomers, their favorite response to, you're going through this Pluto transit right now. The question they would ask every time is, when's it going to be over? Okay.
Mm.
And so I can look through my book and say, oh, you know what? Pluto's going to be here up until next June. And then after that, it'll be over. But I don't say that anymore. I say, when you ask me when's it going to be over, I say it's never over, because the choices you make today, you will be living with for the rest of your life. And this is a
Yeah.
opportunity that will not come around ever again in your life to make these changes. And it's basically, you got to go with the program or you're going to be stuck for the rest of your life. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's never
No
over.
pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's just it.
Yeah.
You're already feeling pressure. The typical client I have calls me because they're feeling pressure. They want some, I mean, there are a few people like y'all that just want to understand and get to the bottom of it and be wowed, which is great. But 90% of my clients call me because they're in trouble and they want to know what is going on. And I say, this is what is going on. You're being compressed right now. The squeeze is being put on you. You're under the thumb. It's no fun, but it's meant to guide you into a new way of being. And that new way of being is specific to which planet is doing the pressure and which planet in your chart is getting pressurized. So it's not, you gotta know what these planets represent. And then you're like, oh, that part of me is no longer serving me the way it is. It needs to transform. And it's painful because growing is painful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
It
as
is.
simple as that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I often say that all of life is designed to awaken us. And what I hear you saying is that you have astrological proof of that. You know,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Astrology, if nothing else, astrology is proof for what we're going through. By the way, just for the since you mentioned earlier, one of y'all said that that's actually a science, astrology. This is my I'm gonna hold this up gingerly. My book is falling apart, but this is my reference book. This is the Astrology. You can't read it because I've taped it up so many times. I use it so much. But this is called an ephemeris. There's the data that I use
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
to
Wow.
tell me what's going on in your chart. This is all numbers. It's all geometry. It's all math.
Where's
It's
the
all
magic
math.
wand, Johnny?
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, Johnny, let me ask
Yeah.
you another question. What do you think about solar flares? Because we're seeing like a lot of solar flares happening, and a lot of coronal holes popping up in the sun, and plasma ejections coming off the sun. Do you have any knowledge on that? Any expertise?
I don't have expertise. I do look at it off to the side, and I know it has an influence on us. There's no question. There's historical documentation of this event happened 2 days after a solar flare. So that's well documented. So there's other people who make it their study to look at the energetic effects of that on human beings in the human body. But no, I haven't studied that enough to speak.
Okay.
Other
They
than
should
just what I said.
study what it does to me and probably you too, Brandy, personally. Like these solar flares, I'll wake up feeling just awful one day and grouchy and mad. And Parker's like pulls up the Schumann resonance chart and he's like, that's why
Yeah.
the sun blasted us last night. Just, nobody has any idea of that stuff in the normal world,
Yeah, it's
but
amazing.
it's like the astrology, it helps like have a little context, I think.
Absolutely.
Helps me at least feel better that I'm not going crazy today. The sky's doing something.
Yeah, right. It's like
Yeah.
all connected somehow, between the
It-
planets and the sun and
That's the part I love most, is that it shows you the connectivity of everything. It
right.
actually is like nothing is really random.
Yes, exactly.
Everything is really on purpose.
Yep.
And yeah.
Yeah, something that Annelise mentioned recently after her reading with you, something about wherever your moon is in your natal chart kind of predicts the person that you're going to marry, something like that.
It was Mars. So Mars in a woman's chart will show the sign of the man she will marry. This is medieval astrology, and it holds true very often. It's not 100%, but what Mars represents in a woman's chart is the kind of masculine energy she likes and she has herself, and then she meets a man who's vibrating at that frequency. Is like, let's go. right?
And
Yeah.
funny enough, Johnny found out that in our readings, it predicted we would choose somebody with the same
Yeah.
archetype. Like
Yeah.
the
Right.
meeting. Yeah.
Parker's sun sign is the same as Annelise's Mars sign. So
Yeah.
Annelise's Mars is in the same sign as Parker's sun. And then reversed for the man is that the Venus in a man's chart shows the kind of feminine energy he is attracted to. And so when Parker meets someone who's got her sun in the same sign as his Venus, he's like, boom, I'm so glad we met.
Boom.
And y'all have that going. It's amazing. Not like I said, not
is.
every couple has that.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah.
Well, I thought
Yeah.
I knew what I was doing. I did, but I wasn't sure until you told me that. So thank you. Just kidding.
Yeah, we need
Right.
some
He's a
proof.
keeper, Annelise.
I needed the proof. Thanks.
Yeah.
No, that
Yeah,
is fascinating though that medieval astrologers had enough data collected to have that down that hey, most likely she's going to pick him because of where this was when she was born.
Yeah.
And to
Well,
see it hold true until 2025 is a little
yeah.
just incredible.
Oh, yeah. Well, I say medieval, but the medieval astrologers got their stuff from the ancient astrologers. So this is information that's been handed down for
Long time.
a long time, longer than any of us can reckon.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I know you do astrology readings that are specifically focused on seeing which chakras are blocked, with someone. Are you looking at the planetary placement? Because you said that chakras are the same thing as the planets, right?
Correct. Yeah. So when I'm looking at a chart, I'll just pull a chart up here so I can demonstrate. But yeah, the chart shows you how the different planets are connected to each other. So the different planets are pieces of yourself, okay? And so your thinking part, your feeling part, your intuitive part, your physical part. We have all these different components of our psyche. And some of your parts are connected very harmoniously with other parts, and some of your parts are in conflict with some of your other parts, right? And so that's what's shown in a birth chart. So there's that. I don't know if you can see that
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
not, but that is a chart. That's actually a chart for the moment right now in the sky. So if someone was born right now, this would be their birth chart.
Wow.
And so I would see those lines, and those red lines show challenges. So like right now, there is a challenge between Mars and Pluto. Boy, if you're born today, you are going to be really, really fiery and feisty and ready to get to the bottom of things and not take no for an answer and not believe everything you're told. You're not going to be gullible. You're going to be like, I'm going to get to the bottom. You're going to be really powerful, but it's going to be challenging because you're going to piss a lot of people off by being that way, right? And so you come to the astrologer 25 or 30 years later, say, why don't people like me? I say, well, because you're here to stir people up, and nobody likes getting stirred up. I mean, some people like you, but they got to tolerate you, because not everyone wants to get, and you're just stirring things up all the time. So that's kind of how, but with the chakra, that's that root chakra, Mars, in this example. And so it's like your physical body can be prone to periods of up and down because Pluto's god of the underworld. So you're doing just fine and you snatch down to the underworld. So
That's
this could
neat.
represent your health going downhill,
Yeah.
and then you
Mhm.
recover and come back up. And then later on, boom, it goes downhill and you recover again. So that's how you can see the chakras in the chart,
Mm.
as well
That
as the
is
personality traits, as well as the life purpose and life path. It all is there to be seen.
It is. Everything is to be seen.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
That's fascinating, truly.
So yeah, that's why back in the old days, only the kings and the priests were allowed to do astrology, right? They didn't
Yeah.
want the people to be empowered. We want them
Yeah.
to bow down to us. So you can't study astrology, but I can.
It's
Wow.
evil.
like the three wise men, or that we say,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
were,
Why were they wise?
yeah,
Exactly.
Because they were
Yeah.
Yeah.
following the stars.
they
And,
were following the stars.
I told Brandy this a couple of months ago. We were talking about this. The thing I realized, at least in the tradition, and I know Granny has a different number, Brandy, but I'm just going to stick with the traditional, the Bible story. But
Yeah.
the tradition is one astrologer came from India, one came from Ethiopia, and one came from Persia. Okay. They all showed up in Jerusalem at the same time because they were all looking at the same thing astrologically. It's
Yeah.
not like the one in India found it out, and he called the guys in Ethiopia. You couldn't call people. 2,000 years ago. You couldn't write people unless it was going to take a year or more to get there, and it may not even get there. You did not communicate with people living 1,000 miles away. But all three of these astrologers saw the same thing. Someone of extreme significance is going to be born near Jerusalem on this day. There was no
Yeah.
question of the day. There was an astrological lineup that only comes around once in a couple thousand, if not 10,000 or more years. And it's going to happen in one specific place.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen in China. It's not going to happen in America. It's not going to happen in Europe. It's going to happen very, very close to Jerusalem.
That's wild.
That's
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
they all showed up at the same time. They were astrologers who saw the lineup coming in advance. You had to see it coming in advance because it's going to take you months to get
Yeah.
from India to Palestine.
That's right.
That's
And
fascinating because in the church it's framed like these three wise men were all together traveling,
That's how I always
from
pictured
the
it.
but
Yeah.
what I hear you saying is that they were coming from different parts of the world, but they all were just following that same sign in the sky. So that's truly fascinating.
But that Bible story, more about the wise men, more than anything else, helps confirm the validity of astrology for me, knowing that these are three people from three completely different parts of the world that saw the same thing, because astrology is a language, and if you know how to read the language, you can tell what's going on.
yeah.
Right.
I love
And
that.
how
Fascinating.
you said kings were the only ones who could have these
Mhm.
people at their disposal, and it was King Herod who, according to the Bible, said, "Hey, come back and let me know," and they didn't. But I mean, that to me, that's very mystically amazing and important to note that it was astrologers who found Jesus out of
Right.
all the people in the world. It was
Right.
astrologers. Yeah.
Right. They
That
knew.
Yeah.
maybe we should listen to astrologers.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That maybe, yeah.
Didn't the church like basically try to turn people away from that? Like just come out and basically,
Well, they
like you
tell you it's
said,
evil. Like
well,
the way
right.
I was raised, they tell you it's evil, and they tell you it's like magic and voodoo. The way astrologers come up with this stuff,
Yeah.
they don't educate you
They have
that
no
this
education.
is a science and this is the sky. This isn't
Yeah.
evil.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
how did that happen, Johnny? I mean, we have in the biblical times, astrologers were the king's right-hand men. I mean, they were who they relied on, the wise men. Their wisdom came from the stars, so
Yeah.
it was very valid.
Right.
And then now we have all these thousands of years later, the church, which supposedly is built upon scripture. So where's the dissonance?
Yeah.
What happened?
Supposedly. Well, first off, and I'm sure a lot of your listeners know this, and y'all all know this, but the Roman Catholic Church, first off, the Roman Catholic Church was the only church back when it began, right? I mean, there were
Yeah.
other sects of Christians, but they pretty much wiped all them out. So as Europe became Europe and became civilized, the Roman Catholic Church was the only thing going up until the Eastern Church broke away. But I was just thinking about this today. Just the word Roman Catholic, you're already in trouble, because the
Yeah. Exactly.
the
What do you
Romans
say?
are the ones who crucified Jesus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Figure it out, people. There's something wrong. There's a disconnect here. So
Exactly.
the Roman Catholic Church has not had your best interest at heart. Now, There are many Roman Catholic people that are wonderful people. I don't want to take anything away from individuals, but the power structure of the church was there to maintain power. Constantine, the emperor at the time that the Bible was codified into into the books that we count now, he was concerned with consolidating his power. And so he saw that a lot of his followers, a lot of his subjects were favoring Christianity. And he realized that the balance of power was shifting this way, so he better stay ahead of the curve. And so that's how the Roman Empire stayed in control, was by establishing themselves as the go-to for spiritual wisdom. And so
Sure.
having done that power move, they had to dismiss all the wisdom that you yourself could gain from reading the Bible. So reading was discouraged. Reading was not taught in school. You didn't go to school back then unless you were entitled, unless you were nobility or priest, and then you learned your letters. I mean, this is true up to even a few hundred years ago. The common man and woman did not learn how to read, so they could not read the Bible. And that's when the printing press became such a big deal, because the first book they printed was the Bible, and people could start reading it for themselves. Like, wow, this doesn't sound anything like what you've been telling me for the last 1,000 years. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, you got to be suspicious of anything the Catholic Church has told you is wrong or right. And you have to keep in mind, if you're Baptist or Methodist or Presbyterian or Episcopalian or Church of Christ, any other denomination that's not Catholic, your origins come from the Bible that was
Ex-
created by the Catholics.
Exactly.
You
That's what I've
right.
been saying.
You are still a Catholic type person.
It still comes from that. Like
Yeah.
it still comes from it.
Yeah. So you gotta figure it out for yourself. And that's where astrology comes in. It empowers you to see yourself clearly. And the church, if the church is all about maintaining power, they don't like that. They want
Yeah.
you to come to them for
They have to be the
the
middleman.
yeah, the middleman. Middleman makes the
Yeah.
most money.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's business.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I find it super empowering, and it makes me want to get a natal chart on our children too, so I can like help them understand when challenges arise, what could be going on, or what what just a clearer picture of what they were designed for. So when they're in the weeds and they don't know, we can say, well, what does the map that God put above you show? Not that you got to follow it to no, not that we're letting it predict every little thing we do, but to be able to look at it and say, there is a bit of a plan here, and let's see what it says.
Yeah, a lot of it's validity. At least that I got off of my chart was more validity than it was, let me go down this road. It was more like, wow, this is actually proof that like I feel this way. Like this is why I feel this way. Or,
Yeah,
you
I often tell my adult clients that I'm not going to tell you anything you don't already know about yourself. I'm going to validate and confirm that which you know to be true, but I'm going to give you validation and confirmation that you have not got from anybody else. Your parents
Right.
don't always validate you. Some do, but mine wanted me to be this or that instead of the thing I became, right? We get a lot of resistance from society and from the church and from our parents and our peers sometime. But yeah, I'm telling you what you already know to be true. Now, in the case of a child, and I'm glad you mentioned this, Annelise, a child is more often like their moon sign than their sun sign, or at least they're in equal measure when they're very young, because the moon is said to represent energy from past lives that we've already experienced and lived, and we bring that with us to help us in this life. So you default, whether you're an adult or a child, you will default to your moon sign when you're under stress, because that's innate. It's instinctual. It's hardwired into you, right? And so
Yeah.
knowing what your child's emotional needs are by just looking at their moon sign is a huge benefit for a parent. So all you parents out there, you can get a reading with me, great, but if at the very least, just look up your child's moon sign and that'll
Yeah.
give you a huge boost. It'll get you like way ahead of the game, just knowing what your child needs. And
Yes.
I'm talking like age 10 and below, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially 5 and under, especially 2 and under. They need time to develop into that sun sign, but the moon is there 100% at the get-go.
Wow. That's
So
fascinating.
it is. Is that what's coming up for me? Is the sun and the moon sign correlated in any way in Jungian terms, like with the conscious, unconscious?
Oh, absolutely. The
Yeah, so
moon
that's what that is, right? It's the unconscious conditioning, because as children we don't already have all of that in place. So that's fascinating. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That's
Well,
incredible.
Jung and astrology go together like that.
Yeah.
I actually started studying Jung as soon as I started studying astrology, because the astrologer told me, yeah, all this is Jungian, all this fits. But because what Jung did was study astrology, and then he
Yeah.
extrapolated from that a system of psychology.
Yeah.
I mean, he studied more than
Yeah.
astrology, but astrology, because
Yeah.
astrology is a central, it's a language for describing the life and the world around us. So that's why it's not
Mhm.
fanciful or made up or any stretch of the imagination. It's just like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense too. That helps me understand, because people like Jung and the Greeks and the ancient peoples, they observed what was going on around them, and then they put it down into a system we call astrology or psychology, or
Huh.
there are other traditions, right, that do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
I love
It's all
that.
so
It's-
connected.
yes, it is. Everything is connected.
Mhm.
Yes.
Oh, we could talk all day, Johnny, but as we come to the end of our conversation here, I guess I'd invite you to tell people where they can find you.
Great. I am chakraology.org is my website. Chakraology is my Instagram. Chakraology is my Facebook. So CHAKROL. Oh my God.
I'll put it in the show
CHAKRS.
notes.
Don't make him
OROGY.
spell it. Don't make
Yeah.
him spell it.
Yeah, it'll be
No,
in the show notes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's how you can find me, and drop me a line on any of those platforms. And
Yeah, y'all schedule a natal reading with him. It's quite amazing.
Yeah.
You won't be disappointed. I'll tell you what. It's gonna blow your mind.
Parker's fresh. He had his this morning, and he's been on cloud 9 ever since.
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Lord. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well-
and we do, of course, I do readings remotely. So just like everything can happen remotely. If we happen to be in the same town, I'm happy to come do one in person. In person's great, but unless you're in Asheville, North Carolina right now, we'll have to do one remote. I do live in Austin, Texas, most of the time, so you might catch me there. But otherwise, we can do it online. Yeah.
Asheville is beautiful. I wish I was
I
where
love
you
it.
are right now.
Me too. It's my favorite
Yeah.
favorite area of the country.
Goodness.
It's
Yeah.
really beautiful here. I'm in the mountains, actually, just north of Asheville. It's just lush
Oh.
and green, and we got a river running. It's like a river right over there, 100 feet. I can just jump in anytime I want. And
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for being with us today, Johnny. We appreciate you sharing all of your wisdom and expertise with us. And I will drop your contact info in the show notes below. And I also echo what Parker said. If you're a listener here, go and get a reading from Johnny. You won't be disappointed. And I also wanted to announce that Annelise and I will be joining Johnny November 1st for an online workshop called Beyond Religion, where we'll each present a teaching. And Annelise will also be bringing a musical element to the workshop. We're still ironing out all the details on that, but stay tuned for more information there. And also, I want to remind everyone that the community side of the rabbit hole, the Burrow, has launched and will include live monthly Zoom meetings, bonus episodes, and a private Facebook community, and also some deep dive lives moving forward. For just $10 a month, you have access to all of this while supporting the heart of our mission to cultivate deeper conversations and community. We appreciate everyone who has supported us. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you stream podcasts, click like, share, and help us spread the word. Thank you all for transcending this rabbit hole with us. As always, cosmic blessings and peace.
Do you ever grow discouraged by the weight of this world? Does Big Brother get you down with all the lies that he's told? Does the gloom and doom of night your dreams. So you scroll instead of sleep, cause distraction is key. But as long as there is still a sun up in the sky, I can choose to live on the sunny side. It's somewhere between burying my head in the sand and falling down the rabbit hole again. I was sleeping just fine peacefully inside my American dream, awoken when those puppet strings were cut right off. The evidence you can't ignore, sheriff call you misinformed. I know the truth, but trying not to lose my mind. I'm somewhere between burying my head in the sand and falling down the rabbit hole again. It takes a worried man to sing a worried song, and the state of humankind had me humming along. Hello, common sense, I'm convinced we've lost our way, sold our attention to the system. Now there's power to reclaim, but as long as there's a heart